I used to be one of those people that said, I forgive people, I forgive them, I forgive them, I forgive them, but I really didn't. I didn't understand what that process was like. And some of us are walking around and we're talking about how we forgive people. What I failed to do was introduce myself. People will watch this later because you guys are going to share this video, right? So I'm Keya McClain. I am the author of the Healing Poetic Expression Series. And my first book is called My Words Healed My Soul. My second book is called The Depths of My Soul Healed Through Love and Empowerment. And my third book is The Constant Road to Healing. And so I've been sharing all month the topic of forgiveness. And we had guests the first week that I started, which was my ex-husband. We talked about my first ex-husband. We talked about forgiveness, our path of forgiveness, and how we started to forgive one another, and how we formed a friendship and a bond, and just released some things from our relationship and marriage. And the second week, I shared my own personal journey of how I began the healing process. And my last book is called The Constant Road to Healing, because we are on this continuous path, right? So we think that, oh, I'm just automatically healed. I automatically forgive people and it's easy. This was no abracadabra overnight. I forgive people, okay? This was a process. And so that's why the last book is called The Constant Road. Some things take us a little bit longer to continue the process. And there are triggers that may come up that affect that process. And so I really want to focus tonight a lot on, I don't have a guest on tonight like I've had in the past, because I really wanted to talk to my audience more so tonight than anything else. I wanted to talk to you all. And if I have someone that wants to come in with me, just indicate that. But I really wanted to just be transparent and honest, and in a space where we can just talk about what forgiveness has done and how forgiveness is so important for us mentally, emotionally, and physically, because oftentimes holding on to those things, and me and Christy talked about this last week, my guest that I had on last week, Christy Abrams, we talked about how that process can physically make you ill, and how it can mentally make you ill, and emotionally and spiritually. We oftentimes would, in the past, and I said this on the second week, we oftentimes are asking God or our higher power to forgive us, when we can't forgive our own selves for decisions or mistakes or a path that we chose. And so it's time that we get real about those things, and we look and examine those things and say, you know what? I might have made mistakes. I might have chose to allow this person in my space, and they hurt me, or they betrayed me, or they stabbed me in the back, whatever it may be. We have to disconnect those things from being our reality. We have to stop accepting those things so that we are in a space of blame all the time, that we're in a space of looking at other people and holding on to what somebody else did, instead of being accountable for ourselves. No one has power over you. The decisions that someone else made has no power over you. So if someone did something to hurt you, release them from that and release yourself. Because oftentimes people don't realize that they're hurt and they are inflicting hurt on other people. And it's not our responsibility all the time to take on that burden. But we have to forgive ourselves, and we have to forgive other people for what may happen. Because it's the healthy thing to do, mentally, emotionally, and physically. It manifests into physical illnesses like stress, and which can culminate into a lot of different things: high blood pressure, heart attacks, and things like that. And so this is the seriousness of forgiveness. And some people don't take it very seriously. We have to take forgiveness as a very serious thing. If anybody wants to chime in, because I don't have a guest tonight, this is the perfect opportunity for us to have a transparent, real conversation for those that are on with me live, those that come back for the replay. I appreciate you. Feel free to place your comments there as well. I will always be coming back to check the comments. But for those who are watching live, what comments would you have about how, even if you haven't started the forgiveness process, the process of thinking about forgiveness sometimes for some people can be stressful. Some people are like, I can't forgive people for certain things. I can't let that go. I can't, they did something and they intentionally did it to hurt me or tear me down or whatever. But I was just talking to my friend Julia, and, this was something that I had already come to grips with. What if the things or the very thing that someone is doing is not personal? It's not against you. Hey, sis, thanks for coming in. What if that thing isn't personal? And we hold on to these things and we are angry and we are bitter and we feel like this is an attack on us. What if that thing that they're doing isn't really directly associated with us personally, but it's something that is internal with that person? It's something that person is dealing with. So tonight I just decided to come on and just have a real conversation with you all and allow anybody that wanted to talk about their forgiveness process with me and with the audience. And I think the more that we're open to this, the more that we're receptive to this, the more that we're transparent about this, is the more that we all can heal as a community, as a people, holistically, because a lot of those things that are holding us down are things that we control, but that we allow other people to control. So how will we shift? How will we shift this? How will we shift the fact that we have been holding on to things that are not healthy for us? How will we shift the focus on what someone else did and start to shift the focus on how we will respond, how we will react to certain things that people do, or how we won't react? Everything doesn't require a reaction. Everything doesn't require a response. Everything doesn't require for us to do anything. Yes, sis, our thoughts become things. That's so true. And so, we've been talking about that, right, sis? So we have to manifest the things that we want in our lives. And if we want to hold on to unforgiveness and hatefulness and anger and bitterness, then that's what we will be. And that's what will come into our lives. Hey, Nika, thanks for coming in, girl. We will manifest the very things that we think, the very things that we speak. And we have to stop blaming other people. Stop giving other people control over our emotions and our feelings and our thoughts. Again, we have more power and control than we accept because we are too quick. We give away our power so easy. We give away control of ourselves over to other people too easily. And then we blame those people and we resent those people. And so it's totally, it's a human nature, right? To feel like you got to react to everything, but we don't have to. There's a difference between a reaction and a response. A reaction is impulsive. A response is calculated, given thought. Don't allow people to get you out of character. We are in control of our actions. Yes, sis. We are in complete control. And so oftentimes what we'll do is, now, I'm not telling you that I'm perfect and that I don't oftentimes think about things and talk about things, but I know who to talk to about those things. And so I talk to people who do the same thing that I do with them, and I bring it back in. And I say, you know what? It's not about them. Let's look at this holistically. Is it really about this? And we're not going to make such a big deal out of it, because what ends up happening is we keep stacking things on top of things, and it creates this unforgiveness. It creates this bitterness and this anger towards people. And we all got our own things going on, right? So I don't want to hold grudges and anger towards you, because that's not healthy for me. Even though somebody else might hold it against you. Even though somebody else might hate you and they might still have an unforgiving heart towards you, I'ma still love you. Now, am I going to allow you to mistreat me? No, I'm going to separate myself from that. That's something totally different. But what I won't do is allow someone else to control my reactions and my feelings. I have total, unadulterated control over me and my reaction to you and how I feel and all of that. And so I choose to forgive you. I choose to forgive the part of you that feels like you had to attack me, do me wrong, talk about me, lie on me, whatever part of you that did something that made me know and go into the space of forgiving you. Because I'm also not perfect. I have also made mistakes. I have also done things that have really put someone else in the space of I have to forgive Keya. And so I say this humbly and I say this in all honesty that I also have hurt and I've also done things that have been wrong towards other people. I am not perfect. And so, Ajin, nope, won't love him no more, but I would let you live, just not near me. Yes, and I mean, look, I'm happy that I'm in a space that I can completely say, if I say I forgive you, that I forgive you. That I honestly forgive you. I don't go to sleep with you on my mind. I've released you. And I forgive myself. Nobody's going to sleep with me at night. I'm not holding that level of bitterness or anger on my heart. Because you don't get to control Keya like that. You cannot do that. And so I'm happy to say that I'm in that space. And I hope that all of us can get to that space. That we're not holding on to things and people for their wrongful acts or whatever we consider as wrong or hurtful or whatever. Because again, think about it. This is a circle of life, right? And there are things that you may have done that have been hurtful towards people. There are things that we've done. We don't think about the karma and the karmatic energy that comes back and returns to us sometimes. And, I'm going to talk about it. Oftentimes, when we always can put the blame on other people, we have to really look in the mirror and look at ourselves. The thing that saved me was I was able to do that. I looked at the reflection of who I was. I looked at some actions that I had committed against other people. I looked at some things that maybe I may have said or done to other people. And I said, you know what? I have to forgive me for some wrongful things I did to other people. Everybody isn't wrong against us all the time. And we have to be willing to look at that. We have to be willing to be honest about that. We have to be willing to look at ourselves with all the ugliness and everything. So when we look at ourselves sometimes, like you might see a handsome man and I might see a beautiful woman and you might see a kind and gentle you. But there's also a part of us that we never want to see, that we never want to be honest about, that we don't want to tap into and just say, you know what? There's an ugliness about me that I have to be honest about and I have to be truthful about. I've hurt people before. I haven't always been who I am today. I've said things and I've done things that has not been positive, that has not lifted other people up, that has not been reflective of who I really am and who I know God made me to be. And I'm not going to blame anybody for it. I'm just going to own who I am and what I do and how I am. And I'm not going to point my finger at anybody. Because, see, that's a true, honest space. And that shit hurts. That's me being real with you. Like, that hurts. And when I had to look at myself and say, you know what, Keya? This is not a replay. Nobody keeps hitting replay. People are telling you who you are, and you have to look at that and be honest and sit with yourself and see that. And I had to do that. I had to be real and honest with myself and say, as perfect as I thought I was, right? At some point, I thought I was perfect. I thought I had it together. I thought I was the kindest, most wonderful person in the world, but then I had to be real. And I had to be honest, and I had to say, no, You're not that person all the time. You've had moments of ugliness. You've had moments where you've done things to hurt people. You've had moments where you've done things that was not reflective of who you said you were. And that's just me keeping it real and being honest. I was that person. And I was the person who always said, I'm going to hold a grudge until the end of time. They don't deserve me in their space again. But you know what I do now? I release people lovingly. And even if you came around me, I'm going to still love you. Now, will I trust you again? I don't know. Maybe not. But I don't have the energy to give to not forgiving someone. That's all I'm saying. I'm not telling you somebody hurt you, somebody betrayed you, somebody did something to you. Just love on them. Just invite them back in your space so they can do the same thing. That's not what I'm saying. But I am telling you that forgiveness is for you. It's not for them. It's not about them. Forgiveness is for you, because each person and each thing that happens that you forgive is opening space in your heart, in your spirit, in your space. It's opening. The door is opening wider and wider, but when you don't forgive, the door is shut. And there are things that are trying to get in that door that can't get in the door because you've held on to this unforgiveness, which culminates into resentfulness and anger and just all the negative things, all the negative feelings that you can feel when the door is shut. But as you start to forgive, as you start to release, as you start to let go, as you start to just say, you know what? It's not about me. The door opens. And then when the door opens, what does that create? Your blessings start to come in. Everything that's for you starts to come in. If anybody who has watched me on this podcast right now, I'm asking you, if you've watched me at least for the last 2 years, 3 years, you've seen things happen in my life. There has been changes. Doors have opened up for me. Why do you think that has happened? It's happened because I've released. And each time I release, the door continues to open for me. It keeps opening, it keeps opening, it keeps opening. And then as it opens, it widens and it spreads apart. How much space do I have now for things to come in? Look at all that space. Look at all that space that I have. That's continuing to open space for my blessings. That's continuing to open space for what God created me to be and how I can live out my purposeful life. That's what that does, because the more I forgive and the more the door opens and the more that gap starts to disappear, my blessings are starting to come in. There's no blockage. There's nothing that's preventing my blessings from coming. There's nothing that's preventing or halting that the people I'm supposed to connect with, the things that I'm supposed to have in my life, all the things that I want are being manifested now. And that's because I've let go. It's because I've started to forgive. It's because I'm not angry anymore, because I'm not resentful anymore, because I'm truly, truly, truly in that space where when I say I forgive you, I forgive you. If you've known me for over 20 years, then you really can say there's been a significant difference. This is not me bragging, you all. This is me sharing my testimony and my path, my journey of how I got to a space where I was once an angry, bitter, unforgiving person. This is just me sharing that with you all. So if you're in that space, stop claiming that space. Stop being okay with being in that space. It's not okay to be in that space. We use that as a protection. When we say we're okay with that space, that just means we're trying to protect ourselves. We're not okay with being unforgiving. We're not okay with holding grudges against people. We're not okay with being resentful against people. The reason that happens is because that's our shield. We protect ourselves by saying, I don't forgive them. I'll never talk to them again. It's protection.